Do you actually have to be on cocaine to be on this podcast?
It's a great day to be a Wildcat!
Cocaine.
Durfing.
What is up, everybody? You're listening to yet another edition of Cocaine Willie, the official K-State representative on the College Huddle. I am your commissioner, Bob Trollsby, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, the good chef, Andre Napier. And Fireball Matt Marchesini is at the game in Lawrence, so good for him. He's going to get to wave the wheat right back at some of those KU fans who are probably dejected, pissed off, sad, angry, all of those emotions, and we love to see it as the streak turns 17 years old. Before we get into the episode, we do want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Auntie Mae's Parlor, located at 616 North 12th Street in the heart of Aggieville. Auntie Mae's, they've been in business for 51 years running. It's the best destination in Aggieville on game days and school nights alike. Don't want to belabor it too much. Just hit up Auntie Mae's. If you're in Manhattan, you should be at Auntie Mae's in the next 5 minutes or less. There's no reason for you not to go celebrate the victory, the win, and the streak turning 17 at Auntie Mae's. So hit up Auntie Mae's Parlor, and we'll see you there. Be sure to tell you. Be sure to tell them Cocaine Willie sent you. All right, so Chef is joining us. No video on this time, but we wanted to get an instant reaction out there for the people. Chef, how are you feeling as the Cats take the victory 42? What should have been 49, 42-17 in Lawrence, Kansas?
I've never felt so good delivering mail on a Saturday when I have to work and the Cats are on than I do right now. I mean, it's just a beautiful feeling smashing the Jayhawks when everybody's nervous about it. And I'm just casually putting paper into mailboxes and not a care in the world. Like, I didn't feel threatened at all.
It's never not great. It's never not great beating the Jayhawks. Obviously, the score 42-17. This brings K-State to 4-4 overall on the season. They're back to 500. They are 3-2 in Big 12 play. So definitely a top half team in the Big 12 as far as the standings are concerned. When they take that victory, one of only a few 2-loss or fewer teams right now. Avery Johnson. I was pretty impressed today. There were obviously some moments where he wasn't the sharpest, but overall 11 for 17, 231 yards, 2 touchdowns and no interceptions. Obviously he had that beautiful ball to Jace on the 78-yard touchdown pass to Jace that I think really kind of sealed the victory for K-State. That got them up to 35-17, and really at that point the game was pretty much over. What are your thoughts on Avery's play today, Chef?
Yeah, I mean, you said he wasn't sharp at some points, but I mean, realistically, there was only one throw that I saw that wasn't the best, that was a play that could have been had. And then there's the parts where I think you're talking about where it's missed opportunities. On the broadcast, they showed Jerron Tibbs running wide open when the game was still, there was a chance that we could have buried them even further. And he missed those opportunities. And it's little things like that. But all in all, one of the best performances in the Sunflower Showdown that he's had. And, that it's just a beautiful thing to see. Also, I mean, this is a real shot at the detractors that are saying, okay, Jalen Daniels is having a good season, but he is a better quarterback than Avery Johnson. We've seen the track record. We know what is. We know what the up and up is of Avery Johnson. And for people to even put that out into the universe, it just really shows that Avery Johnson is at one level and, Daniels is at another. So it was a beautiful moment for Avery Johnson to seal it and send Jalen Daniels out with no wins versus K-State.
And one of the big storylines coming into this game was, on paper, Jalen Daniels and Avery Johnson this season were pretty similar. But Avery in this game with the 231 yards, he's inching closer and closer to where Daniels was coming into this matchup. But I think the real story for Avery today was we saw him using his legs. We saw him really acting as a dual threat quarterback. He had 6 carries for 17 yards, but it's not flashing off the stat line, but the moments that he needed to run, he really took control. He had 2 touchdowns on the ground as well in this game, and that's what really sticks out to me. He wasn't afraid to use his legs and do it in situations where he needed to get a couple of yards here or there. So that was probably the biggest thing for me with Avery in this game. And I don't want to overshadow this either. Jace Brown with 160 yards on 4 receptions with a touchdown, averaging 40 yards per catch and having the long of 78. Your player prophecy coming into this game, Chef. I'll just let you gloat about your player prophecy and gloat about Jace a little bit.
Yeah, Jace is – I saw it coming in this game just because of what the bye week means for a team that is struggling in one aspect. And when KU is one of the worst run defense teams in the country, they're going to establish that, and it's going to leave their formations to stop the run, safeties in the box, one-on-one coverage on the outside. And that is really what Jace Brown does well. I mean, we saw it last year versus Colorado. You leave him one-on-one with no safety help, he's going to get you off of the line, and he's going to be able to make the catch deep down the field. That's what Jace Brown brought to the game. I thought he would be more used in the intermediate, but he was that deep ball threat, like you said, 40 yards per catch, 4 catches. It seemed like he had the ball so much more, and that's because of the jet sweeps, the Wildcat situation that he had. He got involved, but through the air, it was just so explosive, and Avery Johnson found him so much. It was beautiful. I think I said 7 for 105 and a tud. I mean, I'll take this because I'm going to take those. I was going to take those. I'll take those rushes as, catches or whatever. And I think I'm right on pace. He just exceeded what I expected to happen in this game. Jace Brown is the man.
And he's a Jayhawk killer. This is what his third season in a row where he puts up just great numbers against the Jayhawks. I want to talk about the defense. So the Joe Klanderman dialed it up today. There were obviously some moments, some drives where, and I think back maybe to that first drive. It was an unfortunate situation where we muffed the kick return. KU gets the ball. They fumble it into the end zone. Honestly, it shouldn't have been a touchdown, but they were able to score pretty easily on that drive. And then the other drive where they got their other touchdown, were able to score pretty easily. But the big headline for me here is they were able to hold Jalen Daniels to a season low in passing yards, not a season low in rushing the ball, but a season low of 129 yards passing, 1 interception, which that's about all you can ask for from this K-State defense going up against Jalen Daniels, who has been playing probably his best football he's played in his career. What do you want to say about Klanderman? What do you want to say about some of the defensive personnel in this game?
Realistically, the last few weeks, even Baylor, and to somewhat, I know I don't want to go that far. I was going to say that I think the UCF game was a pretty valid performance. I was even going to go back to Arizona, but Arizona, I mean, they carved us up. It was not pretty. UCF on this defense has been really playing some of its best ball. Baylor, I knew going into this week that KU was not a better offense than Baylor, and realistically, we played outside of one of the best tight ends in the country, Trigg, absolutely nuking us. We played well in that game, creating turnovers and all of that. This game is the next level of that. Knowing that they had to run the ball, Daniels was just not efficient as a passer. He brought – this is the first game that, like, even the layman could see, like, disguising blitz coverages and all of that. He made it so visually appealing to just a regular fan, dropping a defensive end, bringing multiple pressures from different places. And that's what you kind of have to do against a guy that seen a lot of football in an adverse situation when he's down and he's got to force the ball down the field. This was a perfect Clanderman situation, especially when they were down early. I mean, you were just not expecting a short field right off the jump when you were expecting to have the ball. So I give all the credit to Joe Clanderman. He called his butt off today.
And it felt more reminiscent of the K-State defenses that we've come to know and love from Clanderman and Kleiman over the last few seasons since 2019 when Kleiman took over, but realistically 2020 when Clanderman became the defensive coordinator. But just talking about some of the stats here, you've got Desmond Purnell, Malcolm Alcorn-Crowder, Ryan Davis, Jordan Allen, Chidi Obiizor. Those guys all registered at least a half a sack on the day. You've got pass deflections from Dez, Wesley Fair, Daniel Cobbs, 2 from Ryan Davis, 1 from VJ Payne, 1 from Chidi, 1 from Uso even getting on the board there. And then you've got Ralph Ortiz with the scoop and score. You've got interceptions from Cobbs and Gunnar Maldonado. Just I haven't seen this many guys pop off the stat sheet from K-State in a really, really long time, and was just across the board. I was incredibly impressed with the defense. Not the best day from a guy like Austin Romaine, but I think the sign of a good defense is being able to have all the other guys around your star players when you're not having your best day, being able to elevate their own level of play, stepping up and filling that void. And we absolutely saw that from everybody else on this roster.
And here's what I all the credit to all those other players. I think everybody outside. I'll say this about Romaine because I'm gonna highlight him in the only negative that I can really find on the defense today. There was maybe 1 or 2 busted coverages, but outside of that, there was really nothing. Austin Romaine, I knew going into this season that he was getting a little overhyped. Now, I will say this about him today: he was in position a lot of the time. Athletically, he's more of a straight line guy. In open field, he's never been a good open field guy. He never has been. In a phone booth, if you put Austin Romaine back in his freshman year, 1989, and let him play out his career that he has now, he'd probably be the best linebacker in the country. Let's be honest. I mean, he's a straight line, go get the dive play kind of tackler. But today, he just was not that in open field. He was in position, and I think a lot of it has to do with injury. You look at, he's got a giant cast on. He doesn't have all his full faculties at his disposal, and that's what I think a lot of it is. In open field, he was embarrassed a couple times, but a lot of those would be wrapped up tackles if he had an extra arm. You know, if he did a giant 12-pound cast on his left arm, he would have had a really good day. He just wasn't there, and he wasn't at full strength. I don't say that you could have, rested him and had somebody else play, but he just wasn't at his peak physical ability, and it showed. But like you said, when everybody else is there to pick him up, it's awesome. That's how the Lynch mob, it's got to be a mob, and they all showed up.
That they did. So one of the last things I want to talk about here is the implications for this game in the series against KU. And I also want to talk big picture. But before we get into the big picture, looking just at this rivalry, the streak turned 17. This year, a lot of people, including myself and Matt, were saying kind of, if not now, when for KU. And if it wasn't going to happen in this year where K-State's having a down year and not their best year in a while, if they can't get the win this year, when is it going to come? And we've seen so many close games these last 3 matchups. But I was just stunned to see the margin of victory for K-State, first off. But secondly, I guess I'm just curious, when you look at this rivalry, you look at this series, big picture, what do you think this game means in general when you think about K-State versus KU, the Sunflower Showdown in general, and the streak kind of in the grand scheme of things?
The first thing that comes to mind is, what is Lance Leipold's future? I don't know what is Kansas's expectations. I don't necessarily know what they look forward to in a football season, because Lance Leipold, outside of that one season where I think they went 9-4, he has done nothing. He has not. I mean, he's elevated the program to almost a 500 program, but they just don't do it consistently. And when you have a team like that, think of like a lot of the Big Ten teams. Big Ten teams have rivalry games that they can hang their hat on, and Kansas does not win those. And what do they look forward to in a football season? And what has Lance Leipold brought if they're not looking forward to be a 500 win team? I look at that for this series, that this might be the final nail in the coffin of what fans really have on the leash for Lance Leipold. I think his leash is really, really short. And then I look at the future. Like you guys said, if not now, then when? Because I would expect, in all, I think Avery Johnson comes back. In my opinion, I think Avery Johnson comes back, and he wins he's going to be a senior. I think that alone is a nail in the coffin of Kansas's football season next year to try to beat K-State. Then you're looking forward. And if you're looking at a coaching change somewhere in the next 2 years at KU, I just don't see how it's possible that they're going to be able to beat us, because our talent roster is fine. It is not. This is probably one of the the better teams in the past 5 years in terms of on paper. I don't see where KU can get it going. I just don't. Obviously I don't follow KU recruiting all that well, and they put all their eggs into their basket, I think, this year, and it's just not. They just can't get it done. It's hilarious.
I had to cue up the Leipold laugh there. I had to do it. You're bringing up Leipold and it being hilarious, so I had to cue that up. I want to talk big picture in the Big 12 now. So this brings your Big 12 conference record to 3-2. Obviously, Army game doesn't matter at this point. The only games that matter at this point are losing to Baylor and losing to Iowa State in Dublin, Ireland. K-State's now 3-2. And this puts them at 6th place as things stand here at 2:34 p.m. Central Time on October 25th. There's obviously a lot of games to be played, and some of them happening later today. You've got a kind of a heavyweight matchup between 2, 3, and 1 teams in Big 12 play, with Arizona State playing Houston later today. You've got a 4-0 team in Cincinnati going up against Baylor, which I think it's win or go home. If you're Baylor, like if you don't win that game, you're probably packing it in for the rest of the season. So I think this is Baylor's kind of last stand, for lack of a better way to put it. And then, Texas Tech's playing Oklahoma State. That'll be an easy win. But BYU going on the road against Iowa State, not going to be an easy matchup, I don't think, for the Cougars, who sit atop the conference at 4-0 right now and 7-0, the last undefeated team in the Big 12 overall for the season. What do you think this means? Do you think Arlington is still out there? Do you think this is still on the table?
I can't say Arlington's on the table. I think there's a lot of teams at the top that are still vying for it. I think there's a lot of teams. I think there is a clear line of denomination in terms of expectations and talent. I don't know if Kansas State's in that tier.
Did I lose you, or did you lose me?
I think I'm losing everybody. My service is bad, I guess.
Okay. My whole computer just died, so apologies to those listening to this live.
We're back.
Go on,
back, though, right?
Go on. Yeah, go on with where you were.
Okay. I was just saying next week is going to be a huge pivotal game. Now, talk to me next week. If somehow, some way, the Manhattan's going to be bubbling. It's going to be brewing in anticipation of the Texas Tech Red Raiders coming into town. I think they're fine. I think they're going to get a dub. I think this is like the opposite of, those ones where we're going to be living and breathing for off of this KU game, where it's going to be a distraction. I think this pole vaulted us into new expectations, but I have to see it. I am honestly impressed with the resolve of this team the last few weeks. But Texas Tech is a different breed. It's a different monster, but they are not invincible. We saw what Arizona State could do to them. Can we do something similar? Can we win in the margins, similar to how we won today with defensive touch or special teams touchdowns and stuff like that. If we could keep it clean, if we have good weather in Manhattan, if we could keep their defense, we could get a couple scores on their very, very highly talented defense and bottle up whatever they have going on in the run game, because I'm not impressed with the quarterback play at all at Texas Tech. So it's going to be going forward. I'm really just talking about that matchup because I think looking forward to the season and where we stand in terms of the tier list, I think that is the most pivotal game next week. It's going to be huge.
Yeah, that if you are able to get a win against Texas Tech, that brings you to 5-4 on the year. So you're one game away from bowl eligibility, with Oklahoma State and Colorado still on the schedule. Obviously, that game at Utah is going to be a tough test, but I think. And also, screw the weather, man. This is the first time we've had a game in precipitation when we've been able to get a sizable win. So hey, maybe the demons of the weather are finally behind us. But man, I think that game against Texas Tech next week, it's going to be huge. It was a 6-day selection for game time, so still TBD on when that game's going to kick off. But it could be reaching a fever pitch in Manhattan next week with K-State pulling off the victory here. But I don't have anything else that I want to touch on. Chef, anything else that you have before we get out of here today?
No, I really enjoyed this win, and I'm looking. It's given me a new burst of energy into this season. I think it's kind of okay. I don't want to say this, but it's very similar. It's very similar to what basketball did for me last year. You realize, like, you had that stretch where you're beating really top tier teams, and it gives you that new energy, that renewed energy into the season. Maybe something can happen. I'm not entirely there yet, but like I'm really happy with the team the last few weeks and the resolve that they had.
For sure. I'm right there with you. It's obviously not it's not going to change what's already happened this season, right? Like you've already dropped those games. That win-loss record is not changing. You still have to get 2 more wins to even make a bowl game at this point. But if you are able to pull off the impossible against Texas Tech next week, I think that changes the math in a lot of ways for a lot of different things for K-State this season. So it could be really, really interesting. It could have you rallying for very different bowl positioning if you're able to pull that off. So keep dreaming, K-State fans. We'll see what happens here. We thought this season might have been over after that Army game or even after that Arizona game, but things are still very much alive. The Cats are 3-1 in their last 4 games. They moved to 3-2 in the Big 12 with this win against KU again, 42-17, pulling off the win in Lawrence. That's going to do it for us today. Again, shout out to our sponsor, Auntie May's Parlor. Get down to the Auntie May's, start partying. Buy one of our Wildcat Country Let's Ride koozies. And let them know that Cocaine Willie sent you. Additionally, we are the K-State representative on the College Huddle, which is the world's largest, nation's largest collection of fan content, whatever it is. So check them out, thecollegehuddle.com or at College Huddle on social media. And we are at Cocaine Willie on social media. You can also follow us individually. I'm at Bob Trollsby. Chef is at Chef Andre Napier, and Fireball Matt is in Lawrence, Kansas. Chef.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug, baby.
We are all Coke and no joke, Wildcat Country.
Lay ride.
Fuck KU.